Welcome back to the UFC Pros Pick Show. I am James Lynch. He is James Krause. No Nick Kalikas, but James Krause just got into Vegas right now, and he's still doing the show with us. James, how are you, sir?
I'm good. I literally just walked in my room, put my stuff down, got my laptop out. Let's roll.
Yeah, literally record time. Got to give Krause total credit, but that's the type of trooper he is. We got to recap last week real quick before we get into this week's card, UFC Vegas 53. Your bet of the week with Jessica Andrade very much cashed. It was great. Obviously, Andrade getting that finish there. My prop bet of the week, Montana Del Rosa and Macy Barber goes the distance with Andrade cashed, and then Minal Cop, that fight got canceled, so can't do anything about that. But good week. We've been on a little bit of a streak here lately. Let's get into the main event, though, for Saturday. 5-round main event, Rob Font, Chito Vera, 5 rounds in the UFC bantamweight division. Right now, Rob Font coming in at minus 135. Chito Vera, Malone Chito Vera, plus 115. Krause, which side are you on in this one?
I don't have a position on this fight. The over. I like the over here. Both these guys are like, I can like pro and con this to death. You know what I mean? Like
Yeah.
When you look at Rob Font, what I think of? I think about a jab. He's got a great jab. And Chito's got a very like high guard, walk you down style. And the jab typically works well for styles like that, right? But when I look at the Chito side, well, how do you deal with a good jab? You deal with it with a good low kick. And Chito's got an excellent calf kick. So I think both these guys have the tools to beat each other. Font deals with distance really well. Chito pressures really well. I think both these guys are extremely durable. I like the over here. But as far as like who I think is going to win, man, I think these guys are very, very evenly matched, and they have a lot of like strengths that equal each other's weaknesses and vice versa. You know what I mean? So like, it's a very intriguing matchup to me. I don't really have a play on this one as far as who I think is going to win. I do think it's going to be an excellent fight though.
Oh, wow. So Krause with the non-pick. I get it, though. Honestly, like it's a very close fight. There's a few things I look at. I do like the over. I wouldn't be surprised if this fight goes the distance, to be honest. Chito Vera, never been finished in the UFC. Rob Font, one submission loss. And I know he did get hit a lot against Jose Aldo, but Rob Font's never been knocked out. I don't think Chito Vera is going to submit him. So do you think he's going to knock him out? I mean, this is a guy, Rob's fought guys like, Marlon Moraes that have got knockout power. He's fought Aldo, who's got knockout power. They couldn't finish him. So I don't know if Chito is going to be the guy to do that. And if that doesn't take place, I think the fight likely goes the distance. Like, I kind of like what you said there as well, because I think the play here is if you're going to bet this fight, I guess if you're on the Chito side, you get the plus money, but I think the fight goes the distance prop could be good here just because, again, both guys really durable. If you look at their overall records, they're pretty good there. But I am going to give a pick, and I'm going to go with Rob Font. I think what it comes down to for me is just that I think Rob overall has looked a little bit better. I know some people say, oh, Chito looked better against Jose Aldo. Well, Chito only fought him 3 rounds. Rob has that 5-round experience. And, you could look at some of Rob's wins like Moraes, who just retired recently, Cody Garbrandt, who, moved down a weight class, but still that Garbrandt fight, like he dominated that fight. And that was a 5-round fight. I think you can't put a price on that experience. And the last thing I'll say on Chito, like he got the knockout against Edgar, but that was a fight that was pretty competitive leading up to that knockout. So it's not like it was a complete, like total wash for him, so to speak. So I just give a slight edge there to Font. But if you look at their opponents, like it's weird because like they've had some good wins, but they're not like quality wins overall. But I'm going to go Rob Font by decision to get it done, but I think the fight goes the distance prop is the way to go if you're going to go with that one. But we'll see. It's 5 rounds. Let's get to the co-main event. I can't believe there's a co-main event, but it's a fight night card. I guess they got to do it. Andrei Arlovski, the ageless wonder, is taking on Jake Collier, who's kind of been like this cult favorite. Like he was a middleweight, and then he moved up to heavyweight, and he's been getting some interesting wins here. But Arlovski's the favorite at minus 135. Jake Collier plus 115. Who are you going with here? The former heavyweight champion or the former middleweight?
One of my rules in betting is Andrei Arlovski always wins by split decision. So
it's true.
No, listen, I like Collier a lot. I think he's really good. I like his volume at heavyweight. But there's been times where I've seen him like let fights go. And that it's really tough. It's gonna be really tough to do that against a guy like Arlovski, who's a veteran, and he is very aware of what's happening, the optics of the fight, how the fight is playing out from not just his perspective, but from the judge's perspective as well. And he does an extremely good job playing to the points. And I love the new and improved Arlovski that's much more defensively minded and he's got a longer style now, which you've seen some of these older vets do this and adopt the style. You see him, you see Overeem is doing it as well. These guys that kind of had some, chin issues in the past or whatever, and now they're not anymore, because they're fighting a different style now. So as you get older, obviously you got to make those adjustments. So that tells me that Arlovski's fight IQ is already higher than most just by making those adjustments. But I think this is going to come down to who has more volume, and I do think that Andrei Arlovski's fight IQ is better than Collier's, and that alone is going to be. I think he's faster. I think he has a slightly clearer path to victory. I do see this fight going the distance, either side, but I believe in Andrei Arlovski's fight IQ, and I think he knows what the optics look like and when to press, when not to press, and how to play a fight to the judges.
Well said. I like Arlovski here. I think the odds are exactly where they need to be. In fact, I think they could be higher on Arlovski's side. Jake Collier's wins in the UFC at heavyweight are against guys that, well, one of them, he was brought back to the UFC. We'll talk about him a little bit later, Chase Sherman. But, John Volante's retired. Marcel Fortina is not in the UFC. Like, these are not great wins. And then his losses are losses that you would think he would have. With Arlovski, like, he's only losing to really good guys as of late anyways. No offense to Jake Collier. He's not Tom Aspinall. He's not Rosenstrike. He's not these guys that do have some serious power. I know Collier does, but not against high-level competition here. And you're right. Arlovski has changed his style. I mean, he's had a really weird career. I mean, there was a point maybe 10 years ago where I thought his chin was done, and it wasn't. And he's been going on this crazy run. And, you see him now pick up some wins that maybe you didn't think he would get them done. And I just think the evolution in his game is still allowing him to compete at 43 years of age, or however old he is right now. I know he's in his 40s.
He looks great.
Yeah, he does. Yeah, no, he looks awesome. But yeah, I like Arlovski here. Like, I think this is just a fight to keep Arlovski busy. I think Collier has been a cool story, but I think Arlovski's just so much better, and he's just got way more experience. And I'd be really surprised if Jake Collier won this fight. It's heavyweight. There can always be that knockout, but again, like, he's not Tom Aspinall. So I just think I think Arlovski goes out there and likely wins the decision. What were you going to say,
I think both these guys are like, Collier's not a big puncher, though, is the problem. You know what I mean? He's not known for power. Now, everybody at heavyweight has power, but the style that Arlovski is fighting anymore, Collier's style is he doesn't have a ton of power. And I think that's just because he's a middleweight. You know what I mean? Like, he's a middleweight that's came up. And to be honest, Collier's from Missouri. I know him really well. He's really good, but he was never a big puncher. You know what I mean? Like, he's never been a big puncher. He's very skilled. His striking is very good, but he's just never been a big puncher, and, that seems to be the style that gives Arlovski the most problems. Those guys that have the touch of death, and Collier is just not that guy. I think Arlovski's going to move a little bit more. I think he's going to pick his shots. I think he's going to move around. I think he's going to use his feet a lot more than he normally does. I think he's going to cruise his way to a decision here.
Let's talk quickly about a couple other fights, and then we'll get into our prop and bet of the week here. Andre Fili and Joe Anderson Brito. This is such a weird fight to me because, like, Fili's, he's been sort of up and down in his career, but he hasn't fought in a while coming into this fight, but he's like a 2-1 favorite. It just seems like I don't know, are they hoping Brito wins here? I don't really get the matchmaking, but I really like Fili here. Like, I think he's really good, and I think, even some of the losses he's had, they've been close. What are you thinking on this one?
Well, listen, when the original line was posted, the first line that I saw was Brito plus 280. And if you're asking me, James, who do you think is going to win this fight? Andre Fili. He's my guy. I think he's great. I think he's excellent.
Yeah.
I think I've rolled with him before. He's very skilled. He's only lost to top tier competition. Like, he might even be underrated, if you will. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
When we look at this fight from a value perspective, I think the value is on Brito here. Like, the value wise, Brito is the play here, and that doesn't mean I think he's going to win. But a 3-1 underdog for a guy that's extremely dangerous, and I mean, he thinks he showed that against Algio. He's very good. Like, Algio is extremely durable. Any one of those shots that he took could have put a lot of people out. You know what I mean? So, like, from a value standpoint, I do think the value is on Brito. Do I think he's going to win this fight? No, I don't. I think Fili's going to win. I think he's going to win a 29-28 or a 30-27 decision. But would I be shocked if Brito pulled off an upset? No, he's good. He's skilled. He's reckless. He's got power. He's dangerous. Those guys, especially at plus 300, are tough to bet against. You know what I mean? So, like, we're talking about a value perspective. I think the value's on Brito. I don't think he's going to win the fight, but the value's on Brito, in my opinion.
Another fight I wanted to mention. I love this fight. It's just really interesting to me. And he didn't work with you this camp, not to my knowledge. Grant Dawson and Jared Gordon. Grant going to ATT now. Jared Gordon at Sanford. I really like this fight because I think in some ways Jared is really sort of proven his doubters wrong in a lot of his performances and some of his losses. I mean, he's fought Charles Oliveira, some really solid opposition. And Grant, I don't think it was his best against Ricky Glenn, honestly. Like, I think that was a fight that he could have done a lot better. And you know him better than anyone, but I like Dawson here, but I'm curious to see the improvements he's made at ATT with maybe some different training partners. Nothing against Glory. I'm not saying that whatsoever.
Listen, man, it is what it is. Yeah, I mean, that's all going to, in my opinion, what happens in this fight is all going to depend on how Grant comes out and sets up his takedowns. If he comes out and sets up his takedowns with his hands a little bit, has some confidence in his hands, I think he's going to be in a good spot. His wrestling is very good. His wrestling on the wall is incredible. His top game is very heavy. He's got good ground and pound. And historically, he's had great cardio. In terms of a grappling, from a grappling standpoint, he's the complete package. But I'll take a step back from that. The problem with that is like coming off of a fight like Rick Glenn. I don't like that. I don't like Jared Gordon as the next guy. You know what I mean? Like if you have, it seemed there'd be a big lapse within like Grant's confidence in his kickboxing, and Jared Gordon is not a guy that you want to like test your confidence against. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So from a bird's eye view, if Grant could come out and set his takedowns up, I do think he's going to get the win. I think he's going to wrestle Gordon, and he's very top. I mean, he's incredible on top. But if he doesn't set up his punches and he tries to force those takedowns and lift Gordon all over the place like he did to Glenn, I think he could have a tough, you know what I mean? So it's all, I do think that Dawson is the A side here. And, it's just all going to depend on if he's made improvements, in my opinion.
Yeah, really close fight, as the odds indicate. Okay, two more I just wanted to talk about, and then we'll move on. Gerald Meerschaert and Krzysztof Jotko. This is a really interesting fight to me in the middleweight division. Both guys have been kind of up and down. It's Gerald who's on the nice win streak. Kind of how I look at this fight is, Gerald's been winning all his fights by submission. Jotko, I think his last submission loss was 2014. I know anything can happen in a fight, but I almost feel like that's Gerald's main path to victory here if he's going to get it done. And I don't know if he can get it there is kind of my question. How are you looking at this one?
Yeah, so the way I see this is like the thing about Jotko is it Jotko? Am I saying that right? I feel like I'm.
Yeah, I think it's Jotko. Yeah. I interviewed him. I hope I said it right. He didn't say anything. So
the thing about him is his style is very different than a lot of the other guys that Meerschaert has been fighting. I'm a huge Meerschaert fan. I've been a fan of his for a long time, and Meerschaert will do a good job in dragging these guys into the deep end. You know what I mean? They'll get him, they'll think he has him hurt, or they're, dominating him, and then he'll reverse you on the ground or whatever. He's very, very tricky and very, he can be very deceitful on where his actual level of like hurt or tired, or, you know what I mean? Like, it's like, oh, he's out, he's done. No, he's not. He's on top now. He does that a lot. The problem with that is Jotko doesn't really play that game. You know what I mean? It's hard to drag him into a brawl. And he's going to stay very patient. He picks his shots. He stays very safe from the outside. So I think for the most part that this is going to be a kickboxing match. Like Meerschaert's not really like wrestling a lot of guys. It's typically him getting taken down and subbed. I don't think Jotko's going to shoot on him. I think that would be stupid for him to do. I think it's going to end up being a kickboxing match. And gosh dang, it's hard for me to even pick a winner here. Both these guys have looked absolutely incredible in the past. And then sometimes you're like, God dang, man, what happened? You know what I mean? Like there's some inconsistencies lying there, but Meerschaert's my guy, man. I love watching him fight. He's an OG. I enjoy watching him fight. That's who I'm gonna ride with.
I think, and one other just sort of tidbit that I found out in my interview with Jotko when he fought Misha Cirkunov, he had some stomach issue that was really like preventing, like it impacted his weight cut or something, some sort of autoimmune thing that he's gotten figured out. So, because that last fight against Cirkunov was not that great. I mean, it wasn't great for either guy, I don't think, but he ended up edging it out there. So I'm curious if that is a factor here. I'm not going to bank on some sort of health issue being the difference, but it is one little tidbit to keep in mind when looking at this fight. Okay, the last one I want to talk about, because, we had a big fight last week, or I shouldn't say big fight, but a big wide odds fight last week with what's his name, Mike Jackson and Dean Barrett. The guy that he fought last week.
Hey, give me some love. Whoever took that Mike Jackson pick.
I took it. I threw a little bit on Mike Jackson last week, and it worked out. So this week, we have even bigger odds. I mean, this is like boxing, Krause. We've got Alexander Romanov minus 2,200. Like, there's been Valentina Shevchenko fights that haven't even been that wide. The comeback on Chase Sherman plus 1,100. Now, quick backstory. Sherman was cut from the UFC. Romanov was supposed to fight a different opponent, and then they brought him back in, and they're like, hey, Sherman will give you a new, Chase will give you a new contract. So he was technically cut from the UFC, brought back in. They like Romanov. They want to keep him active here. So that's likely why he's the big favorite. And he's looked good, but just your thoughts on this fight, because you're always about the value, right?
Yeah. Do you have the prop lines in front of you or no?
Yeah, I do. Yeah, I do. Yeah.
What's Sherman by knockout?
They don't have Sherman by knockout, but they have him inside the distances plus 1,400.
You know, at Sherman by, I don't know what the line is on Sherman by knockout, but if Sherman inside the distance is plus 1,400, I got to think Sherman by knockout is going to be, let's call it, I don't know, plus 2,000, plus 1,500, plus 1,750. I don't think it's going to happen. I see Romanov taking him down and doing what he does to people. But, you know, if I'm Sherman, I mean, why not go out and, you know, throw a Hail Mary? And that's his only shot. He's not going to win a decision, right? Sherman's not going to sub Romanov. He's not going to decision him over 3 rounds. I mean, from what I've understood, he hasn't even been training that much. You know what I mean? Like, he just took this last minute to get back into the UFC, you know? So I don't know that to be a fact. That's just what I've heard through the grapevine. So I don't see him subbing him. I don't see him winning a decision here. So his only chance is to clip him, you know, and we always have the Matt Serra right hand to do that. It is a possibility. So if you want to throw a tenth of what you would normally play on a unit, go for it. Do I think it's going to happen? No. Do I think there's value there? No. But I mean, you know what I mean? Like, if you're going to play it, Sherman by KO or Sherman by finish or inside the distance, that's where you have to go. He's not going to win a decision. I don't see him submitting him. This is probably going to be one-way traffic in my opinion, but we'll see. That's why they fight.
Well, what do you think of Romanov by decision is plus 600? I mean, that's interesting. I mean, I think he'll probably finish him, but
there's more value on that. There's more value on that than there is Sherman by knockout. I don't think that's going to happen either. But
yeah, me neither. Yeah, it was something just to sort of think about. I think if you're going to bet Romanov, and they don't have it out yet, but I would bet the round prop, round 1, round 2 type thing. Like, I think he's going to go out there and make short work of Sherman. I mean, you know, we just talked about Jake Collier. He submitted Sherman in his last fight. Like, if he can do it, I'm sure Romanov can as well. I will say one thing about Romanov though: the strength of schedule that he's had has been pretty easy. Like, well, I would say easy, but it hasn't been as strong as some other guys in that weight class. So he should beat Chase Sherman. Like I said, he was cut, and this is his now 3rd stint in the UFC technically because he was cut. You know, just be careful here. That's all I say. But don't parlay minus 2,200. I wouldn't think. It's just I don't.
No, it's stupid. Listen, there's a rule here that you should never parlay something that you don't think there's value on straight. Like, if you don't think there's over time, it will catch up to you. Like, it just doesn't make sense mathematically to do that.
Yeah, I'm with you there. Okay, let's get to our prop bet of the week. What is your prop bet to kick things off?
There's a couple plays on this this card that I really like. I'm gonna go Arlovski. Collier goes the distance. I think that was when I looked at it the other day. That was sitting at like minus 200. Nice. And I bet if it hasn't already, I do think that'll continue to climb. If you guys want even more value, you can go Arlovski by decision, which is plus 150 when I saw it last, I think, or it was plus money. I can't remember where it was, but I like to go the distance. You know, Collier's game, and I have seen him look really good in the past. And Arlovski always seems to be in these close fights. So I think Arlovski and Collier to go the distance, I think is a solid play. And I think there's a lot of value on it, even at minus 200. I think there's a ton of value on that play.
I like it. Yeah, I like that a lot. Again, like I mentioned earlier, I think if Arlovski wins, it will be a decision. He hasn't been finishing guys at all, really. And Collier, I know, has, but again, big step up in competition. Fight we haven't talked about, Darren Elkins, Tristan Connolly. I really like Tristan. I've called his fights when he was in Rise FC. Really, really nice guy. I just don't like this fight for him. Darren's got way more experience, and Darren hasn't been finishing a lot of opponents. I know he got finished in his last fight by Cub Swanson, but Tristan is not a guy to really like go out there. He's not a power puncher. He's not a guy that's going to put you away in the first round. Add in the fact that Connolly's coming off another neck surgery. He's 36. Like, that's not good news. We're hovering around Chris Weidman territory as far as some of the injuries that he's had. Tristan's a gamer, though. I don't think Darren will finish him. So I think Darren Elkins is going to end up winning a decision here, and you're getting plus money on that, plus 140. I think Elkins can just go out there and out wrestle him, probably similar to the Pat Sabatini fight, although I don't think Elkins is as good as Sabatini, but I think Elkins will just sort of grind out a decision and get it done at plus 140. What do you think about that?
I actually have that position for sure. I love that play a lot. I think the world of Tristan, I think he's game. I think just stylistically, Elkins is a really difficult matchup for him. I think what will happen is if you guys have watched film on Elkins, he runs this series on the cage. He does a really good job of getting his opponents back standing on the cage. And once he does it, he will not give it up. Like, he will not turn into them. He'll just lean you down. He won't come back in front. He just stays on the back. And I think Connolly, I don't think he's going to get Connolly out of there by any means. Connolly knows exactly what's going on, but like stylistically, Darren's wrestling and his cardio, his work rate. I do think that the thing that scares me about this one is like I like the over 2.5 better than I do to go the distance in this fight.
Yeah.
Just because we've seen Elkins in the past wear people down and get, one of those home runs at the end. It just depends on what the price is on it. But I think stylistically he's a very, very difficult matchup for Conley.
Yeah, should be interesting. Bet of the week. What are you liking here, Krause?
Darren Elkins, minus 140.
Okay.
I think there's a ton of value there. I think, and I will say this, that play does make me nervous a little bit. And here's why. It's because I've seen Elkins, like with Nate Landwehr, he tries to strike.
That was the fight I was thinking of too. Yeah.
Yeah. If somebody is not like hurting him standing, I don't think he gets this sense of urgency to wrestle. And Connolly's not a big puncher. So I could see a scenario where Connolly just like kickboxes with him for 15 minutes and outpoints him on the feet. Because Elkins is not he's not a phenomenal striker. Now, if he decides to wrestle, I do think he's going to win this fight. But once again, I don't think Connolly's going to hurt him enough to really force that shot out of him. So that's the one thing that kind of concerns me about that play. All that being said, at minus 140, I still think there's value there.
Yeah, no, I'm with you there. Again, I'd love to see Tristan win. He's from my home province. We're about the same age. Like, it would be cool to see him get that second UFC win after that big upset over Michelle Pereira a couple of years ago. But again, there's just so many factors that I think favor Darren Elkins, like you outlined there. But I'm not going to be totally unpatriotic here, James Krause. I got to pick one Canadian here, and I'm going with Johan Lainesse. Okay, if you haven't seen what Johan Lainesse has been up to, this is a guy that has been working under Patrick Cote, the former title challenger, for years. He's looked great. He fought in CFFC, which I think is one of the best regional promotions out there. Really tough matchmaking. Went on Contender Series. Great performance there. Going to be making his debut against Gabe Green. I know Gabe's a gamer as well. We saw that fight with Daniel Rodriguez he had. But you're getting him right now. What's that?
Who did he fight on Contenders?
Who? Johan Lainesse? He fought. Yeah. Let me just grab it right here. I can't remember the guy's name off the top of my head. I know the fight. I just can't remember the guy's name. He fought a guy by the name of Justin Burlinson, who was 6-0 at the time.
I can't put the fight in my head, but I remember him being good.
Yeah, and he fought, to me, an even more impressive one was Evan Cutts, who's 12-4 at the time in CFFC. He beat him. And Evan's a guy who's been around for a while. He was on Fight Master. Remember the old Bellator show back in the day? So, yeah, he's very good. And then, a couple other things with Johan as well. Like, he's big for the weight class. So Aaron Jeffrey, if you remember, was on Contender Series. I interviewed him yesterday, and Johan got to work with him this training camp. And Aaron, who's a middleweight, was like, he's big, man. Like, he's a big, strong guy. And if Aaron's saying that, who's like a mainstay middleweight, I think it just goes to show, like, Aaron was even like, I don't know how this guy makes 170. I just been like, to me, there's something about him. There's a bit of like an edge to him, a bit of, like the striking's good. The all around game is just very solid. And you just see some of the improvements that you see him make fight to fight. I think Gabe Green's great, but I think Johan, this is going to be a really good fight for him. And I think if it stays standing, I give him the edge. I think he's got more power. I think he goes out there and beats Gabe Green here. So I know Gabe's got a little bit more experience here. Gabe is 10-3. Johan's only 8-0. But I really like Johan here, undefeated 8-0. I think he gets it done, and you're getting plus money. So I'm going with the Canadian, the White Lion, Johan Lainesse, for the upset pick.
Let's go.
Let's see what happens.
great at these picks too. Like this is where the best value comes in, is these people that like their entry in and you follow them on their regional career. You're good at this.
Yeah. Well, we'll see. We'll see. I've been wrong every now and then, but this one I feel pretty good about. So we're going with Johan Lane S. Make sure you guys follow James on Twitter at the James Krause. Make sure you subscribe to this channel. Hit that like button. Really helps us out a lot. Sorry we got the show out a little bit late here. Everyone's got busy schedules. Krause is in Vegas, like I said. So we're all over the place. Hope you guys enjoy the fights this weekend. We're really looking forward to them. UFC Vegas 53 for myself, for James Krause. Thank you so much for watching. We'll see you next time and really appreciate you guys tuning in.